Good morning again. I'm going to start again with my introduction. My name is SarahRuth Davis. My pronouns are she, her. I am a 5'3", endosex, disabled, Mzungu, queer femme of Western and Central European descent with light brown hair, peach skin, and brown eyes, and today I am wearing a black and white dress. There is much in a name and in the way we identify ourselves. There is a privilege in saying out loud who we are to our community. It is a privilege unacknowledged by most, hard-won by others, and only longed for by far too many still. Let us name our trans, non-binary, and intersex kin whose names and identities are denied by anti-trans legislation and cultural erasure. Let us name our indigenous and African kin whose historical names were obliterated by slavery and colonialism in Africa and in the African diaspora. Let us name those hiding from war, from racism, from gender violence, from queerphobia, who cannot say their own name. And let us long together for all to be welcomed, named, seen, and held in beloved community. When I was 4 years old, my parents sold what we owned and we moved from the mainland to Hawaii. We became homeless, and after Hawaii, we moved to Kenya. My family, rejected by their families and communities, was welcomed in Kenya, a welcome which we in no way deserved, and for which I will forever be grateful. And I was named Wekoye, named by the family who claimed us in the small village where I grew like the plants in our shamba under the warm sun and rain, a Mzungu. A beloved child, welcomed and loved, raised by many mothers and grandmothers, guided by many fathers and grandfathers in Shibuli, my first true home. Mzungu means wanderer and foreigner. I am a wanderer, and I proudly wear this in my naming. My belonging is like water flowing with longing and taking its shape from wherever I am. Longing softens us. We become humble, undefended, and open to knowing our belonging. We celebrated Juneteenth this last week in a celebration of Emancipation Day and of all the longing this celebration continues to bring. On June 20th, we celebrated the summer solstice as the longest day of the year. Our earth-centered tradition tells us of Litha, in the battle between night and day, longing and action, hoped for and hoped fulfilled. How much this longing echoes our hopes as we marched in the Juneteenth parade yesterday. At the solstices, the balance of power shifts. In winter, the shift is to longer days, and in summer, we reach the pinnacle of our longing for the sun and begin to shift once again to the shorter days with the restfulness of night. Let us sit together in our longings and acknowledge our global kin in Israel under threat of attack, hostages still awaiting release. Of our global kin in Gaza, where death tolls rise and children starve, in Ukraine, in South America, in Africa, families torn and broken apart in more than 110 armed conflicts globally. For our kin experiencing violence in their homes and communities from hate crimes, racism, oppressions, and slaveries, named and unnamed. And we lift up our longing for safety and for peace for all of us. Those who are homeless long for a home. Those who are oppressed long for justice and liberty. Those who are far away from someone we love long to hold them. Those who search for why, long for answers we can believe in, for meaning and for purpose. We long, we long, we long. Our story today of Peter Pan tells us of the longing to stay in joyful childhood, filled with curiosity forever. And I'd wager that all of us have longed for that at one time or another. Perhaps especially the parents with your kids home from school, longing to be part of the creative chaos that's filling your home rather than the person cleaning it up. Longing is a beacon to our heart's calling. Longing is lament, bolstered by hope. It is the longing for what we have seen and lived but have no more, or hoped for and never experienced, and the hope for what we can create. Longing is the invitation to join our soul on its path to wholeness. Longing carries us forward to the life we imagine. Longing is our belief in the unseen, our walking towards the sun, the seeds we are planting in the fertile soil of our hearts. African theologian Father Bénézet Bujo writes, "The African quest for life, the yearning for communion with other beings, is a fundamental human instinct, deep into the nature of humanity itself. All human cultures manifest longing for the fullness of life." We're in good company. I shared a late night talk with a beloved friend. She described the doctor asking her aging mom, "What is it that you live for?" And her mother answered in this meandering way, speaking of the pain of losses, of her ability to move freely, of her art, of the death of loved ones, and of her longing, speaking of the pain of losses. That is what her mother focused on. And my friend spoke of her longing for her mother to find her joy and purpose in this time of her life by following her longings, adapting her art, spending her time in the way that she is able to spend her time at this point to enjoy the life that she has with her current abilities and all of the love for her family that she experiences and that is there for her. What is it that I live for? Life asks us this question each and every day. Our longings follow us from the beginning of our existence until the day we rejoin our ancestors. Jalal al-Din Muhammad Rumi speaks to the magic of our longing, saying, "What you seek is seeking you." It is seeking you. What will we do with this magic, this drumbeat of our hearts calling persistently for us to listen? Our Christian source tells us of Jesus and of his 40 days and 40 nights in the desert alone, tempted by Satan to give up. We all travel through these periods of barrenness, of loss. Some of us shared some of those today. Of the desert of silence when we are tempted to give up. And it is then we must follow our longings towards the sun. American monk Thomas Merton sings of the magic of silence in his song, "If You Seek." Follow my ways and I will lead you to golden-haired suns, logos and music, blameless joys, innocence of questions and beyond answers. For I, solitude, am thine own self. I, nothingness, am thy amen. I, silence, am thy all. In a barren period of my life shaped by injustice and pain, when my answer to the question of what is it that I live for seemed to have lost all of its magic, I called one of the wide sages I count on, my living ancestor, my grandma. Grandmas are the salt of the earth. And this grandma is a special gift who found me and claimed me as her own after I was grown. And do you know what this wise grandma said to me as I told her of my losses? Go and find what is yours. Go and find what is yours. Go and find what is yours. Looking around at the ashes, what was mine? Where was my holy magic, my pixie dust? I ponder and continue to ponder the wisdom in her words, and I learned we must cultivate our holy longing to find what is ours. Daily, moment by moment, creating our magic, asking, what is it for us to do, to live for, to be today? Sitting with my African American sister and friend, I lean into our longing for racial justice as the pain of her son's murder tears into us, and I, sheltered by racial privilege, sit and witness to her pain, listening to the work that I and we need to do. When my friend calls broken from the gender violence, weaponizing a court system to take her children from her, a story I have lived, I long with her for gender equality and respect, accompanying her in her sorrow as she finds her spiritual grounding, her hope in this storm. When a parent calls and cries out because their child was kicked out of school and church because of their disabilities, I listen, knowing this pain in my body. And we sit in holy longing for the radical welcome for all bodies. When I sit with my Jewish and Muslim friends and they tell me of family and kin harmed by war, their faces still in shock from the horror, I sit with them in solidarity to give voice to this human suffering and to demand peace. When my 16-year-old neighbor tells me their family will kick them out on their 18th birthday because they are trans, I sit witness to this injustice, affirming their worth and dignity, listen with encouragement to their plans for housing and education as a mother and friend would, and long with them for beloved community. We sit and we feel these longings. These are sacred and holy longings, born from our laments and breathed with hope. This is how we create magic from the ashes of our country, of our world, and of our own lives. These longings for radical welcome, for racial justice, for peace, these longings are what take us into the public square, into our own biases, and into our fight for justice. And to sit next to our beloveds in witness and affirmation, in protest and demand, in celebration marches, as we create our magic each and every day in this, our beloved community. Moment by moment, sorrow by sorrow, joy by joy. In this congregation, we create our magic with anti-racism and anti-oppression work, in religious education, in worship, and in supporting our community partners, and in the many other ways we shape our hearts and our communities. This is our magical action. We follow our holy longings in Article 2, centering love in our governance and work, creating magic with our values of interdependence, plurality, equality, generosity, justice, and transformation. And in July, I will wave the pixie dust and I will fly to follow my holy longings to Kenya, the land of my heritage, the land that holds my heart. To kiss the red earth, she who is my home and my mother. To share precious time with those who claimed me and named me. And to meet with Kenyan Unitarian Universalists, to learn and grow in beloved relationship with our global UUCA, as we work together to spread the magic and the pixie dust of love globally. Spirituality is the practice of magic, of listening to our holy longings, the longings in our bodies, in our souls, and in our minds. It is what we do with the unrest, our barrenness, and our pull towards greater wholeness. Longing is the love language of our soul. It is our connection to life force. Longing shows us what is ours. If we let them, if we cultivate them, our longings will guide us home to our answer to the question, what is it I live for? So perhaps Peter Pan was right, and growing up is a waste of time. We cannot turn away from our longings. For no matter the silencing, our longings will speak. Longing is the call of our very being, our connection to our inner magic. We must embrace our longings to find the fullness of our soul, of our purpose, of our authenticity, of our wholeness, and act on our longings to build our beloved community. Join me in a reflection. When you feel longing, is there a gesture of prayer, simple words that might open your heart to accept and welcome it in whichever form it takes? Let us explore together. Pause and listen to your longings for a moment. Give gratitude to the longing. Channel the longing into a prayer that seeks what is seeking you. Softly whisper your prayer. And sit. Sit with this prayer and with the longing in spiritual practice, in holy action, in finding what is ours in this, our beloved community. May it be so.